everyone, and welcome to Cricut Time. Subscribe to see new videos each week with project ideas and tutorials on all things Cricut. For today's tutorial, I will show you how to stick vinyl onto these bento box style lunchboxes so the vinyl actually stays with washing. For this project, you'll need a lunchbox and some permanent vinyl. The first vinyl I will be using is this Tech Wrap holographic glow-in-the-dark vinyl in opal white. I will also be using some white Oracle permanent vinyl. And last but not least, I'll also need some rubbing alcohol. Let's get started in Design Space. I'll start out by bringing in a text box. And I'll type in the name. I want to change this to a cursive font, so I'll click on Font, and the one that I will be using today is one that I have downloaded, so it's in the System heading. I'll type in South to find it, and here it is. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's called South Calistoga. Next, I want to bring in an image that's going to go around the name. I want something that will fill the space, so I will go with a daisy today. I like this one, and I'll include the Design Space number in the description below so you can find it easily. I only want to use the black layer of this daisy, so over on the side panel here, I'll just click on both of the yellow layers and delete them. I'll just make this daisy a little bit smaller. And over on the side panel here, you can see that the daisy is on top of the name, so I'll just grab it and drag it down so that my name is on top of the daisy. Now I can line up these two layers together and see how the overall design looks. The writing is pretty hard to see. Let's change that to white and see if it's any better. It's still hard to read because the writing is so skinny, so I'll make it a bit thicker. The easiest way to do that is to use the offset button. You can see on the main canvas what size the offset will be. This is a bit too thick, so I'll move the slider to fix that. Let's go with 0.028 inches. I'll just move the original text out of the way for a better look. Since I already know I'm going to be using two different colors of vinyl, I'll try changing this to a different color to see if that makes a difference. No, white's still too hard to see. Let's try pink. Oh there, that looks pretty good. I do want to leave a little space between my writing and my daisy to help it stand out even more. So I'll add one more offset around this pink layer. I'll change that to white, and I am happy with this design. I don't need the original text layer anymore, so I can delete that. These two offset layers have made the writing a little bit bigger than we originally planned, so I'll just highlight both of these layers and make them a little bit smaller. I want to cut the white layer out of the black one, so I'll move the pink layer out of the way for a minute, and now I can highlight both the white layer and the black layer, and down at the bottom, click on Slice. I want to keep this daisy layer, so I'll move that out of the way. Now all the rest of these sliced areas, I can just highlight and delete. Now I'm just left with these two components. I can put them back together, and I have a polished design. Now I can press make it. I will be cutting on a mat, and in the mat view, I'll take the name and move it over to the right hand corner so that I have room to put both pieces of vinyl on the same mat. I am going to cut them out of different materials, so for the name, I'll be using a holographic vinyl. I'll type in holographic, and here it is, holographic vinyl. Whenever I use holographic material, I always want to change the pressure setting to more. Now this is ready to cut. The first thing I need to do for assembling this project is to prep the lunchbox. I pre-washed this already, and you can see there's a couple little spots from where the water dried from the dishwasher. We'll start off by cleaning the area that the vinyl will go on with some rubbing alcohol. This is the step that will help the vinyl stick onto the surface stronger so it can handle soap and water. I'll leave it up to you to decide if you are comfortable putting your bento box in the dishwasher. Honestly, I usually do, and I have not had any issues with the vinyl coming off at all. Here's the permanent holographic vinyl that I'll start out with. I love how shiny this one is, and it has a purple-blue tone depending on the way you look at it. I'll start out by cutting this vinyl to size. For any project that is going to get washed, definitely make sure you're using permanent vinyl. I have also cut out my white Oracle vinyl, and now I'll stick both of these down to a green mat. I like to fit all of my pieces on the same mat if they fit, because it just saves me a little bit of time. Finally, I'll use my brayer to stick these down to the mat really well. There are a few types of specialty vinyls out there that come with a really thin protective film on them. This Tech Wrap vinyl is one of those, so I'll just use my nail to gently scratch it and lift that film up before I go to cut the design out. I like to do this step once the vinyl is already stuck down on my mat because I find it easier to separate these layers this way. This mat is ready for my Maker 3 to cut out the designs. You can use a Cricut or Silhouette for this step. Whenever I use any brand of holographic vinyl, I always leave the mat loaded in the machine and take my weeder tool to test and see if the cut is actually cut all the way through. As you can see here, it is not coming off at all. If this happens to you, just press the cut button again and run it through the machine one more time. Now I'll repeat the process and test the cut again. And this time the vinyl comes off nice and easy. Now I can unload the mat from the machine. I can use my weeder tool to pull off the background. Now I'll flip the mat over and peel the mat away from the vinyl to get it off. I have a piece of transfer tape, a little bit larger than my design, and I'll stick it down. I'll use my scraper tool to stick the transfer tape to the vinyl. Then I can just flip it over and pull off the backing paper. This looks pretty good so far, and I am loving those colors. When you're lining up two different colors of vinyl, take a piece of parchment paper and stick the name on it, leaving just a little bit of that vinyl exposed sticking out of the top. Now I can take my time and line the sap on the flower until it's just right. Once I'm happy with the position, I'll stick the exposed parts of the vinyl at the top down really well. Then I can carefully pull out the parchment paper. Now when I put the shiny vinyl back down, it stays right where I want it. This looks good, so now I'll use my scraper tool again and stick the transfer paper down really well. I'll flip it over and pull off the backing paper. And this is ready for my lunchbox. The lunchbox is dry, so now I can just place it into position. I'll use my scraper tool again to stick this down really well. Then remove the transfer tape. This lunchbox is done, but the last step is important. Let this cure for 3 days before you use it, so the vinyl has time to cure, and then after that, it is safe to wash. Well, thanks for joining me today. And don't forget to subscribe for more project ideas and tutorials on all things Cricut.